Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to the garage and my preview of the new Chinese Tier 8 Premium Heavy Tank, the Glacial-112. I think this tank is going to become a player favorite. With its decent mobility, very heavy, and overall decent armor, players won't like the DPM figure of the 122mm gun though, as it is only, I don't know, just over the 2,000 mark really damage per minute. Very similar to, but not as good as, the IS-6 original gun, the IS-6 being a similar Soviet heavy tank. Still, I don't think this will keep people from loving this tank. As this tank existed only in blueprints, historical data is really scant. All I can dig up is that development was started in 1962, but was abandoned for a further design, the 113. Looking more closely at the gun, it is the 122mm D25TA that we see available on the KV4 and IS-3 as you progress up their line, with similar specs of 175mm of pen, with the regular AP, and on 61mm on the high explosive ammo. The big story here are the heat rounds. My goodness, they have a penetration value of 270mm. That's an amazing jump from the regular AP's 175. KV4 and IS-3 versions of this gun only have 217mm of pen on their heat rounds. You'll want to carry a lot of heat in this tank to make this gun competitive, so good thing you can load 45 shells in total before each match. Fortunately, the Glacial-112 seems to be a good credit printer. I did a test battle where I fired nothing but heat, did 8,647 points of damage, and still netted out well over 88,000 credits. Your mileage may vary. Rate of fire is 5.3 rounds per minute, which is a little slow for sure, but with the ability to do damage most times you fire, that doesn't feel quite as bad. You know, it feels really bad if you have to wait 11 or 12 seconds, you fire, and you don't have a lot of chance of panning, and you don't, so now we have to wait again. It goes without saying that you won't be sniping with this gun by choice with its nasty dispersion of .386, and an aim time of 6 seconds using the new math, and working ridge lines, that's also going to be somewhat difficult with only 6 degrees of gun depression, but it's better than nothing. So, this tank can certainly dish it out, but can it take it? Yeah, it can. With an average health pool at Tier 8 of 1,500 hit points, you can absorb some damage for sure. Weak spots include the lower glacis, like most tanks, and the turret has 2 cupolas on the top that are also weak spots. The gun mantlet appears to be quite strong as well. The frontal armor is very good at 120mm on the upper glacis and is also angled at 68 degrees. Angling the hull will make this armor very hard to pierce indeed. Side armor is only 80mm and will not offer much protection if you get flanked, so try your best to keep your frontal armor to your enemies. Strong angling should still allow you to side scrape in this tank, however. Rear armor of 60mm does not offer much protection whether you are angled or not, but this is not surprising. The turret design allows a decent view range using the new math, 255 meters, but its armor is where you will realize the most benefit with 240mm on the front of a well-angled rounded surface, 130mm of side armor, and 60mm on the rear. With the loadout I have on this tank, it weighs in at 46.8 tons. And with that, the engine power available of 638 horsepower, this leaves us with a power to weight ratio of a 13.63 horsepower per ton, which is not going to win you many races, but it does allow a top speed of 32 kilometers per hour and traverse speeds of 33.72 degrees per second on the hull and 31.86 degrees on the turret. Not bad for a heavy tank, really. Now, it must be said, all the stats I've given you here are being achieved through the use of 100% crew and selected provisions and equipment. For provisions, I'm running the improved fuel, improved combat rations, and the protective kit. On the equipment side of things, I have the vents, rammer, and the vertical stabilizer installed. So, what's cool about the Glacial-112? Why in the world would you shell out your hard-earned, real-world money for this thing? Well, for those of you who prefer a historical vehicle, this one was designed by genuine engineers back in the day, even if it wasn't actually produced. It has what I think is an excellent paint job. I really like it. More practically, the strong frontal armor profile on both the hull and turret is going to make this tank a tough nut to crack for enemy gunners, if you do your best not to get flanked and cover up that lower glacis whenever possible. The gun, while a bit weak in regards to normal AP ammo and a fairly slow reload, can be very effective against enemy armor using the available heat ammo, which have an excellent penetration figure of 270mm. Man, quite a jump up from the 175mm of regular AP. You'll be able to afford it as well as what does seem to be an excellent credit earning ratio. The low DPM is not really an issue when you have a gun and armor like this tank, as it totally suits the role of a brawler and will be quite effective there. Average mobility will also get you where you need to be to help your team out the most. Well folks, there you have it. That's our quick preview of the new Tier 8 Chinese Premium Heavy Tank. I haven't been this excited about a new tank coming to the game for quite some time. I'm really looking forward to this one and can't wait to get this into my garage. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below. If you really enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments. As well, be sure to visit my social media pages, both on Facebook and Twitter. This is where I post info that, well, not belonging in a video, it's worth taking a look at. I would also like to give a shout out to my Patreon supporters. You folks are making a huge difference for me. If you like what I do and enjoy the community all of us humans are building, please consider supporting the mission via my Patreon page. There are quite a few options with varying levels of support. Maybe one of them will suit you. Links to all things in the video description. Alright folks, thanks very much for stopping by and watching. I'll catch you next time.